Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. And I hope everyone's been having a great weekend out there so far. There is many topics to cover in this morning's video. Nothing too extreme, nothing overly concerning or anything like that, but we will cover them. The first thing we'll speak on those current conditions, the latest outlooks, and then we'll break down the country section by section. As we do so, we'll speak a little bit on those topics as we make our way throughout today's forecast portion of the video. After we get done doing that, we'll speak on the severe weather risk days to come. And there is a potential for severe weather for today also for multiple areas. Nothing too crazy, but it is worth zooming into a couple individual areas for you folks. After we get done doing that, we'll give you an update on the tropics. I am watching an area off the coast of the southeast with some stalled frontal boundary energy. Could develop a little bit of a low-level spin, might do something tricky. As of right now, the National Hurricane Center not really acknowledging it as far as an area of interest. But I am going to discuss it with our update on the tropics, and we'll begin to have updates on the tropics basically between now and the foreseeable future, as today is June 1st, and happy June, by the way. It is the first day of our hurricane season. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. I know I'm a couple days behind on comments. That's normally the case with me on my channel here on the weekend. I'll get caught up with everything sometime this evening into tomorrow afternoon. So let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the latest conditions. We continue to have this spin, just bringing cold rain showers across New England and the Northeast. And this spin that you see how it's kind of spinning like this? This is actually what's yanking down that smoke across the eastern and southeastern portions of the country, even across areas of the central U.S. also. And of course, there's Canadian wildfires up here, and that smoke is getting yanked down from the north to the south because of the upper level wind flow. We'll speak a little bit more on that here in a second. But it is a smoky morning out here in central South Carolina. Pretty wild stuff. But there's a line of storms here in southern areas of Florida. We got an area of storms rumbling through Oklahoma and some heavy rain to Arkansas. This will eventually make it on the southern side of the Red River into northern Texas later this morning. We got a big surge of moisture moving into southern California, areas of Arizona. You guys actually have a little bit of a flash flooding threat today. Outside of that, nothing too crazy ongoing. Watches, warnings, and advisories. Check it out. We got these flood watches down here in southern Arizona. We got severe thunderstorm watches currently for the line of storms moving through Oklahoma. These will expire more than likely by the time a lot of people tune into this video. But red flag warnings in the pink. Don't burn anything. Don't drag any chains. Don't throw any cigarette butts outside. Definitely knock out those campfires. Rinse them off good. But it's just hot. It's dry out here. And we even got heat advisories in the Valley of California. Elsewhere, it's a pretty quiet start as far as watches, warnings, and advisories. Now, the Storm Prediction Center outlook. There's multiple areas to watch. This marginal risk down here in Florida, you see the dark green, that's for that line of storm sweeping across the peninsula of Florida right now. We got a marginal risk that extends from Kentucky, Tennessee, through the southern Alps, all the way across a good portion of North Carolina, and includes northern areas of South Carolina. Cold air aloft. A difference in temperatures will provide enough instability in the atmosphere, and we'll actually get a line of storms capable of producing some small hail across North Carolina and maybe even northern South Carolina today, and we'll zoom into that area. We do have a slight risk where some supercells could develop in Texas, really east central Texas, from south of Dallas down to Houston, everybody in between. Level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather there. I would say the biggest threat is probably going to be damaging winds and really large hail. We got a marginal risk across the Front Range all the way down to New Mexico, and then an area with a watch here in southern Montana, northwest Wyoming, and sections of Idaho. But we will zoom into the slight risk area. My friends down here in Texas, College Station, Huntsville, Waco, down to the northern suburbs of Houston. Slight risk. Tornado threat, 2% risk. This could upgrade to a 5, but right now, kinematics, wind energy, don't really support any kind of high-end tornado risk with this. The wind threat, there is a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. And the hail threat, The yellow, 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch, but you also have the entire yellow area highlighting the black outline region with black dashes going between. What does that mean? It means a 10% risk of significant sized hail, which is hail exceeding 2 inch in diameter or larger. The excessive rainfall outlook, really the only area to watch is southern Arizona. We have a slight risk. South of Flagstaff and Phoenix, even south of Tucson. This area right here, 15% risk of flash flooding occurring. So, you guys don't always see a ton of rain down here, so you get it. Even a quarter to a half inch of rain will cause issues down here. So just be aware. I know I don't talk about this area of the country much, but we will show you how much rain could fall in the next 72 hours or so here in a second. But I do want to mention this, and this is a graphic from yesterday. But listen, the northern lights are going to become a heavy topic today, into the evening hours. There is the possibility, and I don't pretend to be an expert with space weather. I think probably a lot of people assume that, hey, it's funny the amount of people that think that I'm an expert, whether people are experts with earthquakes and stuff too. I'm not. I actually do have an interest in volcanoes and our earth science, if you will, but I'm definitely not at the level with that I am with the weather. And space weather's the same way. I don't pretend to be an expert with this, but I do want to show you these graphics. It does mention one thing that catches my attention is a G3 storm is possible, and actually we actually have a G4 storm going on right now, or at least we did a couple hours ago. Once you start to get to G4, this is when you can see the northern lights on the northern horizon pretty far south. We go back to last year, May and October were the two big days. In fact, my screensaver is a picture of the northern lights. Last May, it was phenomenal. I saw them a little bit in October too, but down here in my neck of the woods, they weren't as good as what they were in May. But man, we've been getting a treat. These are once in a lifetime type setups for the South, and it says it down here. The aurora may become visible over much of the northern half of the country and maybe as far south as Alabama and northern California. And I would include areas of the southeast with this too, guys. So, and I really would watch out. Tonight is the big night. These dates could be a little confusing. I know it's kind of fuzzy. But tonight potentially is the big night. But you got to time up many things, like when is the peak of this G4? If it peaks during the day, then it ain't going to work out too well, obviously, because it's daytime. Another thing to factor in is the smoke. That is going to negatively impact us seeing it. But hey, tonight could be a night where you could see the northern lights. We'll see what happens. In fact, some people saw them a few hours ago before the sun came up in areas of the country. But the southeast today, let's speak on a couple things. One is the storm surging through southern Florida right now. These will continue. More storms will fire up. It's kind of a stalled boundary. Won't allow these storms to really sink much further north to south. We'll get a stormy time here in the Bahamas today. And we got these storms surging through North Carolina. So there's a couple areas to watch here. Now, let's go on and actually, that's weird. I have this graphic pulled up twice. Let's go on and zoom into Florida here. This is around 8 a.m. We start to make our way into 9, 10, 11. Let's see, 11 a.m. And this is around lunchtime. Still some stormy times going on in the southern tip of Florida. Miami up to West Palm Beach, maybe Fort Lauderdale, over to Fort Myers, storms. So this is around lunchtime. This is around 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Storms just still dancing around the southern tip of Florida. Central Florida points north up into the Panhandle. Outside of some random downpours, I don't expect it to be very stormy. But, southern tip of Florida, hey, be aware of this for sure. Some stormy times are possible, and I think this is as far out as we go. Yeah, it is. So, in North Carolina, now, this is a day where it's kind of weird. You're waking up to some pretty chilly conditions, especially from Raleigh, Greensboro, points north. I mean, temperatures in some areas in the 40s to kickstart your first morning of June. So you're probably thinking, there ain't no way we're going to get any thunderstorms today. Well, you're thinking wrong. We'll start off around 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. A little bit of flow still at the bottom edge of this trough that's digging down. Cold air aloft will provide some instability. And look at these storms popping up from Knoxville, Johnson City, Tri-Cities area, across the Apps, all the way to Charlotte, Hickory, Triad, Triangle of North Carolina. And These don't look like much, but listen, these cells could produce a lot of small hail. So, Raleigh, Greensboro, down to Fayetteville, over to Charlotte, if you get hit by one of these cells, they're going to easily produce hail. So don't be surprised if you get hit by a hailstorm today somewhere in North Carolina. It's just trying to figure out where it's going to be. But this is 10 p.m., 11 p.m. This is around midnight tonight. Whatever's left over of this energy will begin to head off into eastern sections of North Carolina. But just kind of a full overrun of this again, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, just throughout the afternoon to evening hours. So I do want to mention this. Smoke is visible. Now the sun is just coming up, so we're not getting a great visibility of it yet. But if you pause it, I'm going to pause it right here. Okay. So this is the final frame because the sun is still coming up over the lower 48. Now, right now, okay, I want to kind of draw how the flow is going. It's going up here because there's a ridge over the areas of the Rockies and the central U.S., and the flow dips down just like this dramatically because there's a trough up into here, and there's of course low pressure circulates like this in the northern hemisphere. So basically this area of lower pressure is yanking down anything in the atmosphere on this side of this trough. So this is pulling, the flow's coming from the north to the south, and it's going right down into the southeast. So if you look kind of in this little area right here, that is smoke. I mean, you can even see smoke down here. And it's over here too. You just can't see it as well because the sun hasn't came up. So I'm going to put this back in motion and watch how the atmosphere works. There's fires up here in Canada. So, if you sat there and I was telling my my little girls this when we were on the way to the grocery store yesterday morning, I was like, you see how the sky looks hazy out there? That's actually smoke from Canada, and it blew their mind. And it is crazy, but this is smoke from Canada getting pulled down. Look how the sun's coming up. It looks kind of foggy right in here. That is smoke. I mean, a lot of it too. And it's getting pulled down because of this area of low pressure and the circulation around it. So pretty wild stuff. Just want to show you guys that. I'm going to actually exit all of that. But here's the Northeast, same situation. You can get some smoke today. It's just going to be a cold day to start off your June, guys. I mean, I'm sorry on behalf of the weather, but a miserable, as far as temperatures, just a miserably cold day. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised you get some flakes mixing in the highest elevations like Mount Washington or something. But this is getting this afternoon to this evening. Just a drizzly type light rain kind of day. Not for everybody, but for some people. And I wouldn't even be surprised if one of these cells, like you see this one near, Connecticut, southern New York, produces some small hail. A lot of cold air aloft up here. But then even getting into the late night hours, we could get just light rain just spinning around across New England. So temperatures are going to be pretty cool up here. The south central U.S., we got this line of storms that will continue to surge through northeast Texas throughout the morning hours of the weekend. Leftover boundary will allow for some more storms to fire up right into here. Could have some pop-up downpours, southeast Louisiana, southern Mississippi. Can't rule it out. We got a few supercells developing here in Texas, and these will kind of dance around and probably pop off some outflow boundaries. But just a closer look at this. This is starting off around 10 a.m. Here's the leftover energy that's going to pour out of Oklahoma. Could deliver some rain from the Dallas-Fort Worth area down to, over to like Lufkin, Tyler. But as we're starting to get to the evening hours, this is around 8 p.m. Could have some cells. And, the short-range model, guys, is not going to do the best job handling this. But that's all we have to look at. So it shows some very isolated strong to severe thunderstorm activity anywhere from Abilene down to Austin, Dallas-Fort Worth. Maybe it's all the way back over to San Angelo. Could be all the way down to the Woodlands, College Station, Lufkin. But just shows some strong to severe cells sort of dancing around. And whoever gets hit by one of these could get very large hail. So just be aware of that. North Central U.S., pretty quiet day. Ain't a whole lot to speak on. This is getting into this evening, the overnight hours, all the way into tomorrow morning. So rain begins to enter the picture here in the Dakotas, especially North Dakota. But it's a nice day in the North Central U.S. Enjoy it. Now, the Western U.S. is about to get more active, and today's sort of day one, but tomorrow will be even more active. Starting this morning, you can see the big surge of rain moving into southern areas, especially southwest Arizona, extreme southern California. But even outside of that, we get into this afternoon, this evening, we got some storms up here in southern sections of Montana, areas of Idaho. We got scattered sort of downpours across everywhere, and really in the southern to central Rockies with a more organized complex of storms in the northern Rockies. And this rain will just sort of dance around. You see it up down here, just widespread rain showers across Arizona. And then we get into tomorrow, and we're probably going to be waking up to widespread rain in areas of, especially the eastern half and northern areas of Montana. And then we get into tomorrow, fully into like tomorrow afternoon, evening. And then we got widespread storm activity across, especially the central to southern Rockies and getting into the plains with some vigorous supercell action ongoing and getting going in Nebraska down into Kansas, which we'll speak on that severe weather threat here in a minute. But rainfall from this is between now and around 6 p.m. Tuesday. A good bit of rain could fall. I mean, I know this isn't a lot for the eastern U.S., but 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of rain is a good bit for this area of the country, the Four Corners region. So certainly a good bit of rain in this area. But temperatures, I mean, it is just going to be, if you live in the interior sections of New England, it is just not going to be a pleasant day temperature-wise. 38 degrees in the Adirondacks, man. You get closer to the I-95 corridor, it's not terrible. 60s. Mid-Atlantic, 70s. Southeast, 70s and 80s. And this trough right here, you can see it. You can see it very well. In fact, temperatures right now are quite chilly in this area for June 1st standards. But temperatures will feel definitely more like spring in this area. But there is a tight temperature gradient somewhere in eastern Iowa and the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. And then it starts to warm on up. You can see the middle of the country, widespread 80s, 90s, and 100s in areas of New Mexico and Texas. Cools off a little bit for the Pacific Northwest and just the Northwest, but central to southern areas of the western U.S. is certainly very warm. So, severe weather conditions to come. This is tomorrow's Storm Prediction Center outlook for Monday. And once upon a time, this looked worse than what it looks like right now. Now, I wouldn't be surprised we get an upgrade to an enhanced risk one bit. In fact, I almost expect it. But we have a slight risk going from Cheyenne, Wyoming. It includes many counties in extreme eastern Colorado. Gets all the way down to the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. Includes western Kansas, western areas of Nebraska, central Nebraska, up into areas of southeast South Dakota and southwest Minnesota. Marginal risk goes from basically the Canadian-U.S. border to the U.S.-Mexico border. So almost all the central plains and areas of the Midwest has a risk of strong to severe thunderstorm activity. So right now the tornado threat is actually below 2%, which I'm kind of surprised for that. But the wind threat, 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour in that slight risk area. And the hail threat right now, just a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch. Now, I expect widespread thunderstorm activity across a lot of the central U.S., but apparently right now, they're not very confident on, crazy severe weather or anything like that. Now, the excessive rainfall outlook, we need to watch a lot. Like I said, a lot of thunderstorm activity here in the central high plains into the central plains right here. So Denver through the heart of Nebraska, all the way up into southeast South Dakota, including southeast Wyoming. There is a 15% risk of flash flooding occurring. So be aware of that. Now we switch it back to this. Day 3. This is for Tuesday, yep. Slight risk, still just a kind of a skinny slight risk that goes from northern Texas, cuts through Oklahoma, portions of Kansas, even northwest Arkansas, right through the heart of Missouri, up into eastern Iowa, western Illinois, and then gets all the way into southern Wisconsin. But the marginal risk gets all the way up here into the UP and gets all the way down here into central Texas. So right now, all we know is that there is a 15% risk of any severe weather within 25 miles on any given location. And then the excessive rainfall outlook, once again, we got to watch out for this corridor. This area has seen a good bit of rain, or at least rounds of heavy rain. But if you live in this yellow area, that is a 15% risk of flash flooding occurring within 25 miles on any given location. So, all right. Happy hurricane season for those who celebrate it. I know a lot of people do not. They don't look forward to this, but you get what I'm saying, tracking wise. But today is June 1st. It's the first day of hurricane season. Right now, no tropical development is expected within the next 7 days. So that's good. But there is an area I'm watching. Let's look at the GFS first. I think the GFS can do better when it's closer to us. It's still showing the crazy hurricane and the Caribbean and the Gulf, but we're not going to talk about that. I want to talk about an area a little bit closer to us. So time frames up here, 12Z Wednesday. That's Wednesday morning, June the 4th. That's not next Wednesday. That's this Wednesday. You see this blob of green here? This is energy that sort of stalls out off the coast of the southeast. And if I kind of put it in motion, looks like just a big blob of rain, moisture. Now, this kind of surges north, kind of grinds across the Carolina coastline, and eventually just kind of soaks the Carolina coastline as we're getting into, maybe Thursday into Friday. And then that's pretty much it. There's nothing too crazy with it, but there's something there. Okay, now if we look, one thing that I like to look at is the lower levels. So this is 850 volt. So this is energy at about a mile above our heads. Okay, so this is Wednesday evening. We have this kind of vibrant colors right here, the yellows and the reds and the oranges. That is energy. And if you kind of look at the wind barbs here, it's going to be kind of hard to see on your screen. They're kind of spinning. Now this is kind of an open spin. It's not fully wrapping, but there is some sort of spin here, a lower level spin, with little pieces of energy kind of rotating around it. So something tries to get going here. Nothing too serious. The Canadian model. We'll start off Tuesday. Big blob of moisture off the coast of the southeast. Tries to organize something right there, but it never really fully impacts the Carolinas or the southeast or anything like that. But once again, we'll back it up, and I want to show you this the vort here, if you will, the energy in the lower levels of the atmosphere. And this is for Wednesday morning. Sure enough, I mean, you see the wind barb sort of circling around this area, more vibrant colors. That is energy in the low levels. In fact, this is getting into Wednesday night and Thursday. I mean, it fully develops almost a solid low-level circulation. And it kind of spins around, and those are the things you watch for. Okay, it never kind of moves inland, but it heads on out. And guys, I want to reiterate this. This is a very weak low pressure. I mean, even if it plowed right into the Carolina or Georgia coastline, the worst thing it would do is some gusty winds and some rain showers. But it's just little things that we watch. These things can be tricky, and sometimes they get strong enough to take a name. So, the European model. This is starting off Tuesday evening, and it shows a big blob of moisture as we're getting into Wednesday off the coast of the southeast. In fact, it delivers a good bit of rain for Florida. And then we get into Thursday, and there's a lot of moisture kind of hanging around off the coast of Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. Tries to get something going here, but it just looks like a whole blob. It looks like we're going to have a wet end to this week. You keep seeing a lot of energy kind of surging into the southeast, but once again, we will look at energy in the lower levels of the atmosphere. You can see something here. There's something right into here showing up. Not a big deal. It kind of splits off here, just gets elongated, if you will. But there is a ridge right here that would probably impact it somehow. But anyways, just energy gets pushed in. And the last thing you'll look at is the 06Z icon model. Same thing, blobs of moisture hanging out over Florida off the coast of the southeast. And this actually tries to get better organized as we're getting in Thursday of this week and scrapes the outer banks. And actually at the end of the run develops an all-out L right here. And same thing, we'll do it just like we did, and we can only look at 500 millibar here. So this is the spin at about the mid-levels of the atmosphere. It likes trying to develop a little something in the Gulf. But there's something right here too. So, I mean, you can kind of watch both, but something tries to get going right here. But there isn't much of a spin that you can see in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So, listen, this isn't a concern. One thing I will mention is between some kind of stalled out energy off the coast of the southeast and energy moving in from the west, we could be in for, I'm going to go about a week out, we could be in for a pretty wet time. And this is between now and 8 a.m. Sunday, so about a week from today. It shows a lot of rain falling in Florida, and it shows a good bit of rain over the open waters off the coast of the southeast. I want to watch to see if this kind of finger of moisture right here, gets pushed a little bit closer to the coastline, but it has a lot of rain off the coast of the southeast. So, the National Weather Service, the Weather Prediction Center, is seeing a lot of this moisture too, just purely based off the rainfall prediction map. So, just something to watch, nothing concerning at all. But it's little features that we watch that tells us that basically, hey, we're about to start inching day by day deeper into peak hurricane season. Not even close. It's a very slow buildup. But we're getting close. Now, what's really sad, guys, is I don't even know what the first hurricane name is. So let's look at this. And I always like to look at how you sound it out. Andrea. Okay, Andrea. Somebody might say Andrea. So it's Andrea is the first name. Barry, that's easy. Andrea. And by the way, this is an awesome place to go to, because one of the funniest things I get in the comments is people always trying to correct one another on how to sound stuff out, and they actually have it on the National Hurricane site, the Atlantic Basin Storm Name Punctuation. So pronunciations, I always struggle with that word. So it's Andrea. So Barry, then we got Chantel, I think is how you would say it. Chantel. Dexter, that's easy. Aaron. Fernan. So we'll just stop there. Yeah, we'll stop there. We'll figure it out as we go. Hey, you guys have a wonderful Sunday. I appreciate the prayers. Over the last several days, it's been a struggle, but definitely feeling much better this morning. Feeling pretty good and alive. And hey, there's a chance that things might look different behind me in our next video. I got some things coming in that I'm excited about. I'm going to spend the afternoon after church kind of putting it all together and things. But very excited to have my own space. And hopefully by the time we make a video tomorrow morning, things will look different behind me a little bit better. I've told you guys I have a DSLR camera that I am trying to make the best out of. Actually, will show you guys this. I've had this camera since late 2019, and I've yet to truly figure out how to use it. It's a for my photography experts out there, it's a Canon EOS Rebel SL2. So it's a pretty common model. It's older, but it's still a good camera. But there's a way to use this as a webcam, and I think that would be awesome, just to kind of show you a little bit more clear. Not everybody cares about seeing my face. Most people don't. They just want to hear about the weather. But I always have liked the idea of a better visual setup and stuff like that. So, but anyways, y'all have a wonderful day, and I appreciate y'all very much and the positive family atmosphere we have on this channel. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you again in the next video. God bless.